Now, why do we find it difficult to meditate upon God? What is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is attachment to the world. Because the mind is attached here, it doesn't go there. If somebody ties your feet and says, quick march, you'll say, how will I do marching? My feet are tied. Now some people come to me, Swamiji, man Bhagavan mein nahi lagta. My mind doesn't go to God. What to do? So I say, okay, where does the mind go? Does it go to the world? No, it doesn't go to the world also. It doesn't go to God also. Then does your mind remain in pending, suspended animation? There are only two realms. One is Bhagavan and one is Sansar. One is Ishwar and one is Maya. So if the mind is not going to God, there is only one reason for it. The mind is going to the world. If we wish to take it to God, we will have to seriously contemplate how to remove it from the world. And why does the mind go to the world? Because the world is so dangerous? Of course not. King Janak asked his Guru, Gurudev, what is this Maya? Gurudev went and caught a tree and started shouting, leave me, leave me, leave me. So King Janak thought, what has happened to Gurudev today? I thought he was quite normal. But then he is a Guru and I should not say anything. But then he is still shouting, leave me, leave me. Then ultimately King Janak could not resist. He said, Gurudev, please forgive any transgression. But the tree is not catching you, you are catching the tree. Gurudev responded, this is the very nature of Maya. It is not catching us. We are catching it. How are we catching it? Our decision, there is happiness here. Because of that decision, we are contemplating. Oh, there is happiness there. If only I can get that kind of house which my friend has got, I will be so happy. So this decision that there is happiness in the world is leading to contemplation, and contemplation is leading to attachment. The chintan leads to attachment. The mind is getting attached to the world. And now when the mind is attached to the world, you can't take it to God. If you want to take it to God, you have to detach it from the world. How will you detach it from the world? How will you detach it from the world? No, before that, with the mind, with the intellect, you will have to understand the happiness I want is not here. The intellect will have to be convinced. If the intellect is not convinced, then you take the mind to God. Intellect will say, hey, Maniram, come here. How can you forget your child? You should be thinking of your child. The intellect will pull the mind back. That is why the Bhagavad Gita says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. Arjun, with your buddhi, think about the defects of the world. There is birth, disease, old age, death. This is the reality of this world. Then your vairagya will increase. The problem with the material energy is that it is illusory. It creates an illusion. So you see the illusion in the movies, etc. Everybody roaming around, all spick and span. There must be so much of happiness there. And if you come to know the reality, that wife, just on the first day of marriage, she was looking like Suryamukhi. And after 10 years of marriage, she seems to be Jwalamukhi. The volcano ready to erupt. Right? So the happiness is illusory and the intellect becomes befooled. So the intellect has to be convinced. And how will the intellect be convinced? You'll have to decide again and again on the basis of the scriptures. And Kripaluji Maharaj says, Yah jag mrig trishna samadikhat sukha lavaleshana pai. The real happiness is that which will always remain. And out here, somebody says, let me tell you a poetry. Say, all right. He or she says the poetry, say, wah, wah, so nice. So, okay, in that case, let me tell you again. You want to tell it again? Acha, chalo, theek. Now it is not nice. So, I say, let me tell you a third time. And a fourth time. This is any torture but this. Don't tell me the same thing. So, the same thing that was giving so much of happiness earlier, now it is the source of misery. In other words, the worldly happiness decreases, decreases, decreases and then finishes off. That is not the happiness that your soul is seeking. You have to understand this through logic. Understand it through experience. I made so many desires, they were fulfilled and again they were replaced by other desires. Understand it through the writings of the saints in every different way. My suggestion is, if your vairagya, if your detachment has reduced, just go and visit the hospital. You don't have to get admitted. Just go and visit there. You know, the general ward, one person has got a patti on the head, one person's foot is hanging from there, one person has got a bedpan, cannot go to the restroom. This is the reality of the world which we tend to forget, but this is what life is. The Buddha, when he was born, an astrologer said to his parents, don't let him see the world or he will become detached. So they tried to protect him because his father was a king and Buddha, Siddhartha, was a prince. He was protected, but one day after marriage, he had a young, beautiful wife. He went out and he saw an old person. He said, oh, I will also grow old one day. He saw a sick person. He said, I will also grow sick one day. He saw the Shavayatra, the dead man's procession going. Oh, I will also die one day. So this is the reality of the world. He saw it once and he became detached. He was that perceptive. His intellect could see and decide this is how the world is. In our case, the intellect is not that brilliant. So we need to teach it again and again and again. And even after so many times getting beaten in the world, the intellect still goes there. Like that dog. You see, the dog, you offer it food. So it shakes its tail and starts coming. In India, we have stray dogs, right? So it shakes its tail and comes. Now, instead of giving food, you whack it on the face. So it cries, pee, and goes off. But you offer it another roti. So it forgets the first experience. Again, it shakes its tail and starts coming. Same is the nature of our intellect with this world. So many times we went after the world, so many times the same experience. And now we need to decide. So Kripaluji Maharaj says, the happiness you want is not in the world. So you say, okay, now I have understood that whether I become this post, that post, that post, it is all the same. I'll do my duty in the world, but I will not search for happiness there. So Kripaluji Maharaj says, even that much is not enough. If you want to take your mind to God, you have to free it from here. You have to understand my happiness is not here. So you free it from here, even that is not enough. Then you have to also decide that there is no misery in this world. Otherwise, you will start contemplating, oh, so much of misery, so much of this. And then what will happen? The hatred will develop. The resentment will develop. Earlier on, about 25 years ago, when I would give lectures in India, in every lecture series, 4 or 5 boys and girls would come. Swamiji, please make me a Swamiji. But what happens is, that was not real Vairagya. They got trouble in the world. They got distressed. And they said, oh, the world is very bad, let me run away from here. This was detachment from the miseries of the world. And when you get misery out here, in the spiritual side, then you run away from here as well. So real detachment means that you have decided the world neither has got my happiness nor misery. You say, Swamiji, we get misery in the world. How can you say this doesn't have misery? The reason for our misery is our own attachment. You became attached to your child, now that is the source of misery. If you were not attached, there would be no misery at all. So misery is getting created by our own thinking. And if we can decide that this world has neither the happiness that I want, nor the misery that can disturb me, then the mind will become free from here. And that free mind you will be able to engage in God. Your goal is divine love for God. That is what your buddhi tells you. My goal is how to get divine love. Now there are so many shops on the way. Somebody says, come here, I'll teach you Tai Chi. Somebody says, come here, I'll teach you Vipassana Dhyan. Somebody says, come on, I'll take you for a trip to Atlantis City. And third person says, I'll teach you how to be the next billionaire. You say, neutral. You don't start, why do you tell me such a philosophy? Who do you think you are? If you start doing like that, your mind will become dirty. The mind can go to the world in attachment, it can also go to the world in hatred. To free the mind means Rag Rahit and Dvesh Rahit. Free from attachment, free from resentment. That is the free mind. That free mind, then you can take it to God. If you want to free your mind, then contemplate deeply on this verse that Maharaj Ji has written, that the world neither has happiness nor distress. But why am I getting distress? Because of my own attachment. And why have I got attached? Because my intellect says there is happiness here. It all starts with the intellect. So the intellect has to be reverse engineered. It has to be reconvinced. No, 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 you are the soul and the happiness you seek is in God.